Hey, it's Risa G here in her cluttered kitchen, and I'm here for another Tip Tuesday. It's Tip Tuesday already? Wow, that's gone by fast. Anyway, I thought I'd come in for a lesson in how to cut an onion without crying. Now, the reason why we cry when we cut an onion is because onions have something in it, an amino acid called sulphoxide. Sulphoxide. And when you cut into your onion, that sulphoxide attacks your eyes, your nose, and can be quite uncomfortable. And you look like you're crying at a bad movie or a sad movie, don't you? So I thought that I would show you some of the things I do to prevent the attack of the sulphoxides. And I thought we would try a couple of hacks that I've read about that work. So we'll see what happens. Also, of course, if you have, tips for this same thing, give it, put it in the comments below. And I'll test them out and I'll let you know what I think. Anyway, so let's start cutting onions, and we'll see if I cry or not, won't we? So the first one, obviously, when you're going to bring home your onions, keep them in a cool, dry place. You can keep them in the same netted bag, that's fine. Do not keep them in the same spot as potatoes, because they will turn on you. Okay? Now, also, when you're cutting an onion, usually what I do is I leave the root end on. Okay? Alright, the hairy root end. I leave that on for two reasons. One is because when you cut, your onion doesn't fall apart. Okay? That's the first thing. Second thing is I read something many years ago that if you keep it on, that's another way of preventing the sulphoxides from coming in. I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems to work, so I'm not going to argue. All right? Also, one thing that really works for me, and I've been doing this for years, first thing is run cold water. Run your cold tap. Okay? And keep a cutting board next to it. So, run cold water, very cold water, the coldest water you can. And for some reason, the air that comes off of that water comes in contact with your sulphoxides. And I'm slicing. Am I crying? No. Okay, that's one way. Okay, something that's also in the same vein is running your vent fan or a fan. If you have a window fan, that's good too. But I've done it with the vent fan from my that's in my microwave oven, under my microwave oven, which is another way of doing it. Same exact idea. The air comes down and it meets up with the sulphoxide, and boom. For me, it's press vent fan, right? Okay. Now that air coming out, all right, meets up with the sulphoxide, and it may be noisy, but it's pushing the sulphoxide away, so I'm not crying, am I? Okay? Those are the two ways that I do it usually. But I find that this works, for me, it works best with farm fresh onions. So onions that were picked in the last week seem to be the ones that bother me the most, okay? Onions from the supermarket don't seem to bother me that much, except for white onions for some reason. I don't know why. They have more sulphoxide, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, all right, so those are the two ways that I do it usually and seem to work really well for me. Now, here are the two hacks that I read about I read, I think in Real Simple Magazine, I think one of them was. Another one was like HuffPost or something. I don't know. Some other website I saw it on. Okay? Now, inside this tin foil is half of an onion that I froze for about an hour. Supposedly, the iciness, the cold, does the same thing. It kills off the sulphoxide, and so you're supposed to be slicing. So now, obviously, I only froze this for about an hour. Okay, this is a farm fresh onion. It was a huge baseball-sized onion that I got at Mackey's yesterday, because Steve is always complaining that I don't get white onions. And I saw this one, it was calling his name. Okay, so this one was frozen for about an hour. Let's see what happens. Alright, I'm slicing. And I'm not crying. Hey, that's excellent. Okay, there's that way. Okay, and then the other hack I read about was soaking it in ice water. Now, the ice is unfortunately melted. But this has been soaking in this icy water for about an hour or so, too. It's the other side of that onion, the other half of that onion. And if you notice, root end is on. Okay, root end is on. Okay. So let's slice. And we'll see if I cry. Looks like I'm not crying. And this is a farm fresh onion. It was probably picked within a day or so from Mackey's. Usually farm market, farm onions, usually I cry like a baby. Well, looks like I didn't cry. So I guess the 2 hacks worked. My other 2 things always work. And that's great. So we have now 4 ways to cut onions without crying. I hope this really helped everybody. If you have any other suggestions for me, of course, put it in the notes. And if you want to see more tips like this one, like these, or any other tips that I may, talk about, you can come back to my Kluttered kitchen and see what I've got going. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and press that bell. And I hope to see you again at my Kluttered kitchen. Bye.